Welcome to the Gaelan Trombley Show. You can find me on Facebook at Gaelan Trombley, on Instagram at Gaelan Trombley, and on YouTube at Gaelan Trombley. Spelling Gaelan Trombley. Enjoy the show. On episode 26 of the Gaelan Trombley Show, I have my good friend Adam Crosley join me. Adam is a local mortgage lender and owns his own branch up here in Plattsburgh. He's actually been a big business mentor for me over the last 7 or 8 years. He's really, I would say, my true first ever connection in the business world up here, and we've been able to keep and establish a great relationship over the last handful of years, and he's really allowed me to grow my business. And we kind of spitballed some of our business philosophies, and really kind of went deep on some stuff that that's kind of a typical thing with me and him. So and we also touched on a few more lighthearted matters. So I hope you guys enjoy episode 26 with my good friend Adam Crosley. Welcome to the Gaelan Trombley Show. Welcome to episode 26 of the Gaelan Trombley Show. Today, we are joined by a very good friend of mine who I've known for almost a decade now. He's been a good personal friend to me, as well as I would say a good business mentor. And he's an interesting cat, and I'm sure most of you have probably heard of him, maybe have met him. But if not, there's probably a lot you don't know about him. So he's got some good stories. So I'm happy to have my good buddy Adam Crosley in studio today. So Adam, welcome to your first ever podcast.
Yeah, it's my first ever podcast. I really appreciate you inviting me out for this, man. It's pretty neat. So happy to be here.
Cool. So before we got on, we actually were going to start a while ago, and then as things would have it, typical life happens. Then we're sipping wine today, which usually is reserved for our good friend Meg Whedon. She's our wino on the show, but we have, as Adam was trying to, I guess, pop the cork, or we didn't have a corkscrew, so we were improvising, and he somehow managed to pop the wine bottle, so I think every inch of the office has been covered, and we just noticed that actually hit the ceiling, and there's like
15-foot ceilings in here.
Yeah, and on the back wall, it literally looks, I think someone's going to come in here and think there was a murder here, because there's like wine droplets coming down the wall, and it looks like blood splatter. So, but it's fine. We got majority of it in the glass, which is ultimately what we wanted. So we're good. So what I want Adam to do, for people that do not know him, is he's going to give you his background, kind of how we got to 2019 Adam Crosley, and then we'll just jump into all things. I guess, like I said, I think we've had some good conversations through the years, so I'm sure we'll touch on some stuff. So tell people who you are.
Cool. I'm Adam Crosley. I came to Plattsburgh for college. Born in Syracuse, grew up in Colton, South Colton, just south of Potsdam, and came here to college. Did that victory lap 5 years, and went up to Alaska for a few years, and had a good time up there. Ran dog sleds. Lots of awesome stories about that, and then came back here in 2008, and it was right after the crash. Had a job with Yellow Book, and it didn't work out. It was right after the crash. Yellow Book let go of all of the employees that they hired within the last 6 months. They had a decreasing compensation structure, whereas it was a salary up front, and then as you built your residuals, it left. So the newest people in the business were costing them the most and producing the least. That's how I met Benner and a bunch of other people too. But I had just moved back from Alaska. I actually turned down a job in Mexico running Jeep tours through the jungle to do Yellow Book. And it was interesting. I was kind of floating around in life. And when I was up in Alaska, I was reading like Robert Kiyosaki, and I was actually going to become a realtor. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but in Clinton County, there was like 300 realtors at the time, and there was like 15 mortgage guys. And I was like, well, just because it was a mortgage crash doesn't mean people aren't going to start paying cash for houses. So, half the realtors got out, but half the lenders did too. And I was like, how many, I don't know anything about the mortgage side, but let me get in and learn. So I found a mentor, learned the business, and here we are 10 years, 11 years later.
How long you been in mortgages now?
Fall of 2008. A couple months after the crash.
So
just I'm working on 11 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we met. I started in January of 2011.
We met through Nick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So
that's right.
Nick is went to high school with Nick, and he was actually one of my best friends growing up, and he met you in college.
Yeah, we were in the same fraternity.
Okay, and he was actually supposed to be on this a couple weeks back with two other buddies, which would have been a blast, all high school guys. And we ended up. I think I was the one actually had to cancel. I had the little guy for the day. So, but we'll end up getting him on the show. But yeah, so I met through. You were already in the business, and I was in the business, real estate and mortgages. So if people that don't know why are me and Adam, I guess kind of like not co-workers, but we work directly with each other in a lot because I help people find homes. He helps people get money to buy the home. So we very much have a reliant relationship. Yeah, I mean, two different industries, but very one and the same. So we were both in the business. You mortgages, me real estate, and I think I met you probably, to be honest, probably not even my first year because I did nothing my first year. I did a few deals, but I didn't know anybody. I couldn't even tell you. I had two buyers. I don't even know what banks they used. To be honest, yeah. I don't remember. But I think I met you early 2012. It was probably mid 2012. I think we started basically meeting probably bi-weekly, and I think we've probably done that since
8 years. Yeah, I would say.
And I think we're pretty consistent on that. Every once in a while we'll miss, but I'd say at least twice a month we're getting breakfast together or coffee or something like that, and we've been doing that for as long as I can remember. And so that, but I mean,
it's really helped shape both of our businesses, I think.
Yeah, I still remember very early on
the fire pit.
The fire pit that we'll bring up. Actually, we'll talk about the fire pit. So where I grew up, in Chazy, there was basically my parents' house, and you ended up purchasing a house pretty much in their backyard.
Yeah,
basically across the tracks.
Across the tracks. Yeah.
And actually, it's funny is okay. So we ended up. This was pretty early on, probably 2000.
I bought that house in
13?
2011. Yeah, so.
Yeah, so it was early. So maybe 2000. It was probably our first year. We were kind of friends, and I remember going to your house. We had a bonfire outside. I think we went into.
It was just a little campfire. It wasn't a bonfire.
Little campfire. Yes, yeah. I should say the guy I'm talking to is Mr. Pyro himself. So, but it was what we would call a bonfire. What Adam calls basically just a mini little, something that you could put out easy. So I remember going in the wood shop. I think we had a couple cigars that night,
probably,
and
yeah.
I think we had 3 to 4 bottles of wine.
Yeah, we had a couple of bottles.
And I'm not exaggerating when we each carried bottles off. The next day was not nice, but we were out there till 2?
Something like that. I mean, I was like wine hungover for like a week.
It was bad, and I remember walking home. It was funny as people that have their house on the market right now are right behind there.
Over on Bank Street, yeah.
Yeah, and I walked through their yard. Of course, I grew up there, so I knew that they were not the same owners that were there my whole childhood. Cut through their yard, cut to my parents' house, and I just literally told them the story about 3 weeks ago when we listened. I said, actually, probably the first year you guys lived here, I stumbled through your lawn about 2 a.m.
And here I am selling your place.
Exactly, and so...
Not a great way to pick up listings.
Yeah, well, good thing at the time that knew who I was then, so it was like they didn't know I was even in real estate, which was good. But yeah, that was a rough night. But we've had that was our worst. That
was probably one of the times when we really first connected as friends, I would think.
Yeah,
and yeah.
No, I think and we've had a lot of good conversations since, a lot of deep conversations, more than just like kind of just talking about random stuff. I would say from a mentor standpoint, I have a couple what I consider business mentors, and even though you're a few years ahead of me, I think that I've always considered you one of my business mentors, even from I say from a young age, but you were always a couple years ahead of me, so it was always and you were always a very good. I think the biggest thing that if people don't know you very well is that, and I've tried to implement this over the last few years, is just being what I call a doer, but like an executor, where and I think you're better than almost anybody I've ever seen, in the sense that you come up with a plan and you just execute on it. You don't overthink it. I think you put things in play very fast. If it doesn't work out, whatever, it's a little speed bump, but then you just kind of, I think, get kind of bumped back onto the path and then keep going. So
I appreciate that.
What's your, I'm assuming you're pretty, that's something that you consciously do, but like kind of go into that a little bit of how you've been able to implement fairly fast. I would say at this point, you're very well known in the community. You're very well in the real estate space. You're extremely well known, and you've built a company up from. I like to say, I remember when you were sitting on I think a paint can in one of your old offices to what you have now, where you built a great team around you. So.
We left Wells Fargo, and Wells Fargo literally came up. The secretary from the branch manager was down in Saratoga. And she's like, Matt's pissed. I've never seen him this angry. And he showed up with a sheriff and a locksmith and said you had 15 minutes to get out. And we had an office, my little partner and I, at the end later that day. And we were literally sitting on paint cans for like the first week. And it was, so it's, I keep that picture, and it's, it's definitely there. But as far as the implementing thing, I'm a student, I'm a student of business. I'm a student of my craft. And, I always want to chase other people. It used to be people locally. Now it's people nationally, and really seeing what they're doing in their business and trying to implement it and emulate what they're doing. But there was this Brian Tracy. It was probably like one of the best blessings in my life. There was this Brian Tracy seminar. When I was broke just after college, Audible had first come out, and how they give you like that one free book. So I had gone into Audible, and it was, so I was like, okay, personal development, did a search for that. And then I did a search for the longest book. And this was like
your money's worth.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. If I'm not spending anything, I wanted to get my money's worth. Right. Cause I'm broke and I can't even afford this thing of $6 a month or whatever it was. It was a Brian Tracy. Do you know who Brian Tracy is?
Was he Eat That Frog? Was it?
Yeah. And he was like, just after Jim Rohn, like the beginning of Tony Robbins, like now there's all these other guys out, but, in the late 80s, early 90s, he was awesome. And he gave this podcast, or I don't know what I call it, a podcast. It was a seminar. It's like a weekend long seminar. It's like 12 hours. And I must have listened to that thing 100 times. But one of the things he said in there was fire, ready, set, aim. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing is that most people don't jump. Mm-hmm. They want a perfect plan. And, we all want things to be perfect to give us confidence to do things. But I think if you just jump and then you fire and then you course correct after you do it. Elon Musk has a quote, being an entrepreneur is like jumping off a skyscraper and building a plane on the way down. It's, and that's kind of what it is. It's just do it. It's going to suck. Yeah, you might be embarrassed. Yeah, you might make a fool out of yourself. And I fly by the seat of my pants, and I think that, being a rebel as a child kind of helped with that, but whatever, it's fun.
Yeah, I think, flying by the seat of your pants, I think is good, because we've talked about a lot of things, and you're just kind of one of those guys, I think, in a lot of stuff, helping me build my shed and whatever else. It's just like, we're just going to do it. Like, I don't know, like I'm asking, like, what's this and that? And I've gotten over the last few years a little more kind of that, where I implement stuff faster than really try to overthink it. Mm-hmm. I'm still like, I plan with some like strategic ideas behind it, meaning it's not just like completely, I'm not just jumping in completely unknown. Like I have some kind of background or something where I've strategized a little bit, but I don't overthink the small details, and I really don't overthink is it good or not good. I put it out. I'm big on putting it out, and people will tell me if it's good or not. Or I'll get a feel for like, hey, it's just not resonating with people. I'm just going to scrap that idea and I'm going to move on and try to do something different. And podcast is one of them.
Yeah. I think the thing that really sets you apart though, Gaelan, is that you're consistent. You're consistent, like beyond belief. That's one of the things where I lack. Like I'll do something and I'll jump and I'll do it right for 3 or 4 months, but then I get sidetracked with something else and I stop. Mm-hmm. And the consistency that you bring to the table in every single thing you do, you crush it in that regard. And that's one of the things that I've always, I get out of our conversations, because I see you doing the same thing week in and week out. And, it's about doing the unremarkable consistently and awesome. And, and that really, I think, has helped your business phenomenally grow.
Yeah, I call it the Snowball Effect, which now I actually have a book. I think Warren Buffett has a book called Snowball, but I've never read the book, so I'm not plagiarizing that. But I call it just the Snowball Effect in the sense that to build a snowball, it starts off small, and then as you build, it grows exponentially. And I kind of take about 2011. I would go to the office. I would sit on floor time. I would,
like every other realtor does.
Yeah, I would bring the paper with me. I would pull up my contact manager. I would go through the 2 or 3 calls I had to make that day, and I would be lucky if I talked to one of them, because I'm leaving messages for probably 2 to 3 of them, and maybe I get one on the phone. That's like a good day to talk to one person. Then I would sit there and I would do the crossword and I would read the cartoon. I didn't do anything because I didn't know what I was doing. I was young. I was 21, I think. But then as I started picking up steam, the prospecting aspect of it, and over the last few years, you were the one that introduced me to the Greatness Tracker that I've been using consistently. And the funny thing is, I have every single one from the first one you gave me stacked up, and I have them bound and clipped together from every single one I've done, probably 2015, I think you might have given me that, 2014, 15. And I've done it every single week since. I don't send them to you as much anymore, but it's to the point where I have a hard time even keeping up and filling it out, because you talk like 100 or 60 talk tos or whatever. I'm like well over 100.
I'm done by Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah. And you talk about appointments. Like there was a day when I was starting. My dad always told me, if you can get one appointment a day, shoot for one appointment a day. Like you'll be a good realtor if you can do one appointment a day.
You'd be a great realtor if you do 10.
Well, I don't have enough time in the day to do 10 just with showings and travel and stuff. But to be honest, I'm probably averaging 4 to 5 appointments a day.
Dude, that's fantastic.
And the thing is, it was funny because I was like,
if you crush 20 appointments a week, if you can sit with 20 families a week, you can't not fail. Even if your conversion is horrible, because it's sales. It's with Glengarry Glen Ross. The old Alec Baldwin. It's just a numbers game. It's at the end of the day, sales. No matter what sales you're in, it's just the numbers game. And if you can get in front of more people consistently and stay in front of people, you're going to do well.
Well, I think the other factor, as I've gotten older, we talked about it before. When I was starting out, I was 21. I was young. I did not know a thing. I looked young, didn't know anything, and I had very limited confidence in the sense because I didn't know what I was talking about. Now, I would say 95 to 99% of the time, I'm very confident in what I'm saying to people. The other 5%, I'm just going to say I don't know. I'm going to look it up or ask somebody I know that knows more than I do on the subject. But, from a standpoint of when you talked about like a number game back then, when I was dealing with what we call them like warm leads. They're not cold leads, but they're not like great referrals and stuff. Now I've gotten to the point where I'm starting to get more referrals. I'm starting to get repeat clients. I'm starting to get friends that are starting to buy and sell. And so I've found my conversion is better, but it's better because I'm dealing with better leads or clients at the start. I'm not trying because I'm coming from a point where this is a lot of my social media presence and this podcast and my videos, my Instagram and all that stuff. I've gotten to the point where people now can look at me as more of an expert, as, hey, he knows what he's talking about. We trust him. Or my friend referred me to him. And now I'm getting people that are reaching out to me consistently. Every week I'm getting people through Instagram, through Facebook, through whatever that are reaching out to me to help them with homes. And that's what I've always strived to get. Now it's to the point where it's starting to pick up steam, which is good because I want it basically to now, the other agents in the office to get the overflow that I just can't handle, which is ultimately what my goal's always been.
Yeah.
But I'm slowly starting to see that, and it's cool because you talked about, I've been doing the same stuff for 9 years.
Well, but and we're talking real estate here. It doesn't apply to every industry, but you say you make so many calls, and that's the thing that, one of the things that I've learned that, we've talked a lot about during our meetings is, it's one thing to do a transaction. It's one thing to do a transaction and follow up and follow up and follow up, and not just call to call, but call because you care. And I think when the customer realizes that you actually care that you really give a shit about. I'm like, can I swear?
Oh yeah. You're actually kind of late in the podcast to swear. You're good.
Okay, cool. But you actually care about them and you're real with them. That they trust you, because people do business ultimately with who they know, like, and trust. And they know you, they like you, you're a likable guy, but they have to trust you. And how do you build trust? Well, trust isn't something that you just earn, right away. It's something you earn over time, and you lose easily, but you can, it's not hard to lose trust. It's hard to gain trust. And by building that and becoming that, the savant in that space, the master of that space locally, it's easy for people to refer you, and I've just seen your snowball grow and grow, and it's, it's like compound interest. It's a compound effect.
Yeah. And I get to kind of go into that with you, because you've been doing it 11 years now. So if you don't mind sharing kind of like how has your business grown or evolved over 11 years?
Well, I'm an idiot. I wanted to double my business every year for the first few years. And that was just, I did it a couple of times, but then it was like, this is stupid. I can't do this. Like 1 + 1 is 2, but 2 + 2 is 4. And then it just gets to big numbers. And then it's like, so now I'm at a point where I shoot for 20% growth. And last year was the first year I ever went down. I made some strategic changes to kind of fix that. And we're already up 25%. It's like 23.7 or something like that at the end of last quarter. So we're up a lot, and we're fixing the problems that we had. But a lot of that is going back to the customer. And this is one of the things I got from you is a couple of days after it, called the customer. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? What can we do better? And knowing that ultimately at the end of the day, the customer is the one that feeds you. So take care of them.
Yeah. And at the end of the day too, the customer is, you do it for them. You're doing it. Yes, you make a living and it's how you provide for your family and stuff, but you're kind of the same as me. I don't look at any deal from a dollar perspective. I'm not motivated by money. I want it enough to be comfortable, but I don't sweat losing a deal because I'm losing a commission. I sweat like that person didn't get the house, or we lost this listing, or things like that. So I'm always bigger picture when it comes to the person. But no.
So what drives you? Like now that you're, was a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like, in survival and basics and growth, like what is your why? Why do you show up every day?
No,
this is something I want to ask because my business coach actually.
Well, it's covered in it's covered in red wine right now. But I do have a sheet back there. I read a book and it was kind of a cool thing. It was talking about the four W's, and I think it was like your want, your wall, like wall meaning what you're up against, what you want, your why, and there was something else. Whatever, it was 4 W's, but it was basically kind of, and I'll show it to you after.
Cool, check it out.
But it was, it's the idea of like, what's your why? Like my 2 whys when I first got into business was, the first thing was just not to fail, meaning like just not to go out of business, which is very legitimate. That like most people in real estate don't survive more than a year or two.
Yeah.
So I've gotten over that hump where I think I'm like comfortable now. Like I've gotten through that. Then it's okay. How do I provide enough for my family, for my children, things like that, which I'm starting to get to the point where I think this year might be my first year where I'm really not stressing too much about that, which would be nice. Meaning like, I think I'm going to be able to get ahead a little bit more this year in that regard. It hasn't been, we've always been comfortable, but it's like to have like hopefully some money to do some other things or pay down some stuff and things like that, where I'm kind of leveraging or separating myself a little bit. I think my biggest thing, the thing that gets me going every single day, is just it's a failure of not reaching my full potential. Mm-hmm. And the way I kind of look at that is like, when I first got in the business, I really didn't care, but as I've gotten better and I've learned more and I've gotten more comfortable in the industry, I've told people this, not to be cocky or anything, but I'm very confident in myself, meaning I know I know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. I know I can help anybody around here with real estate. Like I've got a confidence level in myself that I know I'm not like.
But you bring that humbleness to the table.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, and I don't say that from a perspective where I'm sounding like too much bravado and I'm really this great person. Like I know from a standpoint of, and again, I think I've earned it because I've been in the business for this is my 9th year now, where I've gone through ups and downs. I've gone through the buyer's market. Now we're into the seller's market. Like I've gone through the goods and the bads, and I've seen a lot of stuff, and I will see more as I go along. But I've gotten to the point where I'm very confident with whoever I'm helping that I truly believe I'm the best person to help them out. And I don't, is that right or wrong? I don't know. In my brain, in my true gut, I believe that. So from one point, I look at not reaching my full potential, which is why I work a lot, why I get up in the morning. And one, I love it. So it's not like people are like, oh, you work 13, 14 hours a day. I really do like what I do. And I like growing, like I'm really trying to grow the company now. Like I've gotten to the point where like I could settle, and I say settle, but like I'm doing a lot from an individual agent perspective, which will be good. I set a 10-year goal for that, which will expire December 31, 2020, which will be the end of next year. And then I'm kind of looking at what's my next long-term goal, because I set really long-term distant goals. There's smaller ones sprinkled in, but like the big ones you're working towards. And what's cool is that this 10-year goal, when I set this current 10-year goal, the new 10-year goal was not even a thought. Now that's something that I think might even be accomplished well before 10 years. But it's not reaching my full potential, meaning I just don't want to, like, I know I have a lot to be able to give to people and help people out. And that even goes down to a business perspective where not necessarily my own individual numbers, but how can I affect other agents? Like I look at Ellie, who, she's the first agent that's come on like under my wing kind of thing that I've ever had I think she's going to crush it, man. Yeah, from day one, like, met her, like, talked to her about getting the real estate, took the test, shadowing business, and...
but she thinks real estate. Her current job before she gets into real estate, it's not bartending, it's real estate. You know, she's already doing real estate, not in the same capacity, not real estate sales, but she's learning the business in her daily job.
Yeah, and she's one that I'm real excited about. Like, I look at her... who, if you guys don't know, I mean, obviously, if you listen to the Realty Talk, that's Ellie. We all love Ellie, but she's a phenomenal girl. But what I ultimately want is to be able to set a platform up where she can basically rise to the levels that I'm kind of hitting and duplicate that with multiple people, which I think I'm trying to build a culture at the company and within the community and with our clients and things like that we can replicate that. And so that's part of it. Like, part of not reaching my potential is now not from an individual agent, but how can I not let those people down? As kind of the same with your business, because you have a team. Like, it's not just the pretty face of Adam Crosley. There's more to it.
Yeah. So honestly, my girls are like, dude, my girls are absolutely amazing. Like, they're better than I am. Like, they're so great. And you know, it's like 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 70, you know, like, and it's, you know, as a team, we mesh well together. And this is, you know, my team is rolled every couple of years. You know, and I had my first hire probably 6 years ago. And it's not like you, where it's an independent contractor that's working for me. It's paid staff. And they're absolutely awesome. And I have failed so much as a leader. Like, I was a horrible leader to start, and, you know, and I started studying leadership and started studying how to be a better manager and how to grow people, because, you know, I think in business at first it's just you trying to do it. And I'm at this point now where, like, I can pause, I can take a break, I can go develop something else, and my team is charging ahead. Like, it's ingrained in them, and our whole business. It's not about me. There's nothing about Adam. It's about our team and, you know, what our team is accomplishing, and it's really kind of cool. I mean, and I'm really excited to see what that next evolution is. And honestly, one of the things that we're probably going to be hiring this year, We got a couple of key things that are going to be happening this year. I really want to bring on some more loan officers and really try to expand. We're going to be opening up an office downstate, and I really want to expand into Vermont. We've been pushing on that door, and I think it's actually going to come to fruition this year. Our personal business is as what is, we could probably handle about 80%. We could probably handle about 20% more, but if we start bringing on a few other people and then I can kind of do what you're doing and start to coach other people and grow other people in other areas to build what we've built, we're going to be crushed because we won't be able to handle the onslaught of business, which is a great problem to have. Right. But the team flow is amazing. And how do you keep developing that and seeing what that next level looks like? So I'm really excited to see what that does and how it gets there.
Yeah. I think a couple things that I've seen you from day one with nobody, till now. And I mean, you've gone through, evolutions of the team, more people, less people, things like that. I think right now you're the leanest you've ever been from a standpoint of you have 4, right?
Yeah. 4 staff.
Yeah. And I think you guys meaning you guys have 4 people, but you're what you're able to push out, you're efficient. You're efficient with 4, meaning I've seen you with 7 and not been as efficient as you are with 4.
Yeah.
And
from a cost perspective,
I was going to say with a lot more overhead but they're good. The girls are good.
But I pour into them, man. We have little contests at the office, and I just sent them all down to Charlotte for 3 days, and I paid for everything for them. And went to the Corps had a team training event, so
cool.
You can send your team to
Are
go
they
get
down there
trained.
right now?
No, they're in the office.
Oh, they already went.
Yeah, they went in February.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Which was cool because right as we switched investors, there's a lot of other cross country people in the Corps, and so they were able to really talk with a bunch of other people in the business, and they've got people in branches. It was such a good I didn't even this was like a side effect. They met so many other people. They went to dinner with other people that work for our company to figure out nuances, and now they have phone a friends in their own individual departments, and it's pretty cool. So
yeah, well, that's what I think. They're all very they're just kind of go-getter kind of people.
But that's what I mean. It's it's the team is pushing forward.
Exactly.
I felt like for a while it was, you can lead with a carrot or you can lead with a stick, and I'm always, at first I was a stick leader because that's what I knew. And I wasn't a hard stick leader, but then I switched to the carrot, and, I'm just going to lead by example and just try and trudge forward. And I think that the team is just taking that. Now they all run, and, we're going to need to get more people for them to lead and kind of build that next layer. So
yeah, I think one of my struggles right now, which we've talked about too, because is just bringing on not more agents, but just more staff. Which we have a position. We're switching over a little bit. We have Debbie's retiring, but we have Nicole's come on, who has years of experience in the industry, and then we're looking at
it's a great hire.
Yeah, and looking at Jordan, who I've told her a million times, wish she was full time because she's phenomenal at what she does, but it's just my day to day stuff. When
does she graduate?
A year from May. So May 2020. Cool. So I don't know what she'll want to do. She's going for hotel, restaurant, and tourism.
That's
HRT.
what my degree's in.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that. I'll connect with her on that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So she, but she's very good at what she does. But I would I need someone to come on as not I'm very laid back. She's even said, she goes, I can wear whatever. I can work at home. I can work, as long as you get your work done, I don't really care.
Yeah.
But I need somebody where I can send my emails to. I can send texts. I can run my schedule, run this. And I know we kind of joked when originally, because I'm following in your footsteps, but you're, about 5 years different?
How old are you?
Age,
I'm
29. Yeah, so 5 years.
Yeah.
And you're a few years, probably 3 or 4 ahead of me business-wise. So I always kind of look at you as it was funny because when we talked and you would tell me stuff, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'll get to that level. And then I'm hitting the level at the same time you did. So then it's put in perspective as like, oh crap. So now I got to start looking at this and this. And
well, you're catching up to me. I've been stubbing my toe. You've just been following my wake. Yeah?
That's it. You're kind of like going through the snow bank with a snow blower for me or shovel, and I'm just kind of going with the snow plow and just kind of cleaning up. So, but it's that new. It's like a hider. It's basically how to leverage my time because I'm getting to the point where
here's the thing. I don't know if anybody else in our community has a paid staff per se, but like for my staff, I mean, I beat my competition because if they're working 40 hours a week, I'm working 200. Mm-hmm. It's not me, it's my team.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's that growth and it's that synergy. And I think when there is lots of people and you are starting that you do have a loss in productivity. And for a while I thought if I just threw more people at it, I would get better and I would get faster. And it turns out that doesn't work. You have to actually lead and you have to be a manager and things I never was. I managed dogs before. I didn't manage people, like
yeah. And well, I think that's going to be my bit. And I think what you talked about too when hiring is the idea of like, I'm fine with delegating, but it's the certain aspects you got to be willing to let go of. And I am on a lot of things, but then when it comes down to like individual clients, it's like you don't. It's almost like I find like an individual client like a glass egg. Like I don't want to just like toss it to you. I want to hold on to it so it's not going to break. It's not going to fall and they're not going to get the home they want, or they're not going to sell their home or whatever because maybe the advice wasn't what I would give. Which I think is everybody's common fear before hiring is like, how do I get somebody to be up to my level, which I don't think will ever happen. But if you can get them up to, what I've always heard is, roughly 80% of what you can do.
Somebody can do it 80% as well as you let them delegate.
Yeah.
And I think that's the tough because, as your business grows, you just can't handle it yourself. Like we hit a goal, not a goal. We broke a record last month. We had 95 leads come in 1 month, and to show every single person you care about them and that you really care about them and you want the best for them is extremely hard to. When you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, you've got 40 deals under contract and you got 90 new ones and you need to follow up with 500 old ones. How do you do all that and fit it in a schedule and not just treat everybody like a number? Because I don't want to compete. I think in the next 10 years in our industry and real estate and lending, there's going to be a huge rift. There's going to be online internet, do it yourself, super, super cheap. And there is going to be high-level service. I really care about you. Let me show you how because I want to help you with the biggest purchase of your life. And I really think there's this rift, and it's. I think we're starting to see it already because if I'm, like Zillow's opening up a real estate company now. Like if somebody wants to, and like they have like Red Door and different things in the bigger cities, like they can come in and be their own realtor. And go in and do these things. And if there's a lot of people in our industries that just commoditize what they do, and if you don't give that love, if you don't show the people you care that you actually really want the best for them, how do you set yourself apart? And I think half or 3/4 of our industry is gone in 2029. I think our world is changed by technology so much that we might be replaced in the next 10 years. And how do we combat against that? And that's kind of what I've been thinking about. And I think it's the love, because at the end of the day, we're all people. And how do you tell that, and it's really, it's not something that comes natural to me, and I'm having to really learn it. And
I think from a technology standpoint, I think you're going to see a shift in different brokerages. I think different things are going to happen with different brokerages. I don't say this just because
it's my first podcast.
You're good. Yeah. No, you're good. I just didn't know if it was important. So but one of the things is like from an internet or technology standpoint, I kind of look at. I think from a brokerage standpoint, I think it's not necessarily the name brand companies, the franchises. I think you're going to see a very big decrease in that over the next 10 years. Is my thought, is because you're going to see either people going as individual agents and doing their own thing, either get the brokers and just like, hey, I'm just going to
I think it's a good way to get rid of because again, I think people are going to have to get lean in the next 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I think if there's a franchise fee that you got to pay, I think that is why. I mean, I think the brand recognition, I mean, you've been pumping your brand and you're doing it at an amazing level on a local base. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why, because if I'm a buyer and I'm moving from DC to Plattsburgh, okay, well, I'm familiar with, Remax or something like that, so, okay, that's the first place I'm going to call, or I'm familiar with a big franchise, but I do think there's a lot of merit to that, especially in rural areas where we are. Everybody needs to be lean and, because that's who you're competing against is the internet, and the internet is super lean naturally. So that's what we got to compete against. And I think by getting rid of those franchise fees, it's a great way to cut that.
Well, I mean, one of my big pushes, which I kind of find, it kind of blows my mind too, that a lot of people know our logo at this point. Uh-huh. That logo, the one that you see with the shamrock and the K, that came out right before Christmas, like a week before Christmas. That logo was actually like done up, or we actually, I think, put it out for the first time into the public. That was less than 4 months ago. Cool. And I was always envisioning it's going to take me... Now, granted, it will take more time, but the amount of traction I've been able to see in 4 months has blown me away. Never in my life would I have thought that we would have had that much brand recognition. But I think what's cool within that is it comes down to people. It comes down to when I give a shirt to somebody, if I give a hat to somebody, if I give stickers to somebody... They put on the back of their phone. They put the sticker. They wear a shirt. They post on social media. But we're getting people wouldn't wear it if they didn't care about I say the brand, but it's the people behind the brand too, which is what we're able to do at a local level. Because what I always look at, even take a franchise, take a Century 21, a Coldwell Banker, a Remax. Like you can, it's like a Nike hat. I say if you wear one of those hats. Sure, you're looking, it's like a national type thing. Mm-hmm. If I give someone a Kavanaugh shirt or hat and they're wearing it, they know the people behind the company. Mm-hmm. Literally, they're local people that live here. So, our big push has been, we don't pay franchise fees. All the money we make, 100% stays in the community. We're not shipping out 7% or 8% of what our company makes to out-of-state people that are running a corporate office. So what I find is that it allows us to reinvest more money back in the community, which I just think is a benefit for the local independent brands. But I think going forward, when you talked about, I do think that more agents are going to go independent, meaning on their own. They're not going to be franchised or affiliated or just try to do stuff. We've seen a few agents over the last couple of years do that. I think we're going to see a few people jump ship and do their own. I think we've changed up the splits for our company dramatically, and I spent a lot of time last year doing it.
Well, I think you did really good market research to see what else was out there, because you got to be competitive. I mean, again, being lean means not paying a corporate office, but it also means paying your people more. And
that's my big thing is we work really hard because out of a lot of positions, you guys are the same as us. We don't get paid until the job's done. Mm-hmm. We're not a home inspector. We're not an appraiser. We're not.
Dude, I don't get paid till a month after the job's done now.
Yeah, and so when people look at that, when people on commission, real estate mortgages, we work for free until we do our job. It's not we don't get paid to show up. We show up and we got to actually execute. So when you actually get a home that closes, people think once we put a home under contract or we list a house, I had 3 deals fall apart this week. 3 deals. It happens. Shit happens, But I've gotten to the point now where it's a little divot. And to be honest, I spent all of 10 seconds worrying about it, and I was on to the next thing. I was just too busy, and it was I was able to make up for it, But
if you have that much business, if you do enough business and you prepare in your ratios fallout, it sucks. It always sucks when deals go sideways.
And again, it's the clients that it's more so than the money's not a big deal to me. Exactly. The client is the part that's like, because
usually the guys, whoever it is going to buy their house or sell their house or whatever. But, deals fall apart for different reasons. But if you can mitigate those, and I think you've done a great job, seeing what chinks are out there to evade those again.
Yeah, the amount of deals that fall apart for me, I think is much less than industry average because I hedge against a lot of it early on.
Yeah.
By setting expectations, by making sure people are qualified and know all their numbers before if you make an offer with me, there's every single thing that's going to happen because I don't let you make an offer. I literally will not let you make an offer until I know that what all the numbers. Because there's people that I'm like, how much money you have to close? Like, what's your close? Do we have everything squared away with the bank? Well, I think we'll be okay. I'm like, call your bank. Like, we're not good. Like, I will trust me. We'll let them know an offer should be coming in, but know all your numbers first. Last thing I want someone to do is get in, overextend themselves, or show up to the closing table and all of a sudden are pulling out savings or going to a family member to take money out. Like, and I think you guys have always done a good job about that. Is like, hey, here's all your numbers up front. Like, there's gonna be no guesswork. And to be honest, you guys are usually more conservative on your estimates because I know a lot of times you get the closing, people are like, oh, it's actually less than what I thought it would be.
And I agree. But I wouldn't believe you on a business. I kind of joke. I would rather scare you today before you sign on the line, which is dotted, before you have to write a physical check. I want to. When I have a customer, I want to show them the ugliest, worst case scenario up front. My tail is covered, and we're good. And they are happier when they get to the closing because they were expecting X and they got Y, and usually it's a ballpark and it's pretty close, but I would rather overestimate up front. One of the jokes I kind of say with my customers is, hey, if we can make ugly work, we can make anything prettier than that work,
Yeah.
And it's true, and I mean, I think it's just making people feel comfortable, and it's.
Well, I've tried to do that. I'm big on under promising and over delivering.
Yeah, it's huge.
And it just because I don't. One, if I set the bar a little bit lower, they at least have a guideline to expect. Where the last thing I want to do is promise the world to them and not accomplish it. And in our business, there's a lot of things out of my control, and I don't. I'm big on not promising anything to anybody. I might have a slam dunk deal, and I might tell you, like, people, what's my house worth? That's very subjective. I don't know. I mean, I can give you a range. I can kind of tell you where I want, but there's a lot to factor in between your needs and the buyer. I mean, we get to I always blows my mind is the Zillow, the Zestimate. Like,
so far.
My favorite thing. I'll give you two. One is the Zestimate, which everybody, if you know real estate, you go on Zillow. Hey, well, the Zestimate says the home's worth $165, and why are they asking $189? Okay, guess what? It went pending for $189.
Yeah.
It's this crazy seller's market right now. The problem is with Zillow, they take out one of the biggest variables in price is human emotion and human situations, meaning people have way different situations. Like,
wicked.
Like you go to a house, like if Zestimate is correct, if Zestimate is truly correct, go down to Staples, get a price tag sign, put it on your front door, and that's what people would pay you. Because obviously Zillow says it's worth that, then that's what someone will pay. Not even close. And I find we're getting less and less of that. I think Zillow has really lost a lot of its gusto. When it first came out, everybody was like, well, that's how much it's worth. We don't need it. And like, it's not. And then the other thing is,
well, they've really overpromised. And as a company, I think they've underdelivered. I mean, I think the general population sees that. And
it's very unreliable.
You can't build an algorithm that works in Plattsburgh, New York, and Los Angeles.
Yeah. And I've, even from a standpoint of the premier agents, so Zillow has this thing on their website that's called the premier agent, which basically means who pays the most. And we were on Zillow a couple years back, and I remember telling my dad, because I remember telling my dad this, because we meet and we talk, and my dad has been doing this for a long time, has been very successful. He was always very much a pioneer in different things that he did.
Yeah.
But at the same token, I kind of come in with fresh eyes and have a very good pulse in the industry, and kind of things are changing a little bit. And I told him, oh God, at least 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I said, we will be at a Zillow say it was 3 years ago. I said, we will be at a Zillow within 18 months. And he was like, well, it's so good. We're getting all this. I said, just look at what's going to happen. Their business model is we're going to bring, you're going to pay us $500 a month? We'll put you as a premier agent. We'll give you the leads. Next one comes on. We'll do that. If it was truly a premier agent, there should be some type of guideline, even a certain amount of sales, a certain amount of volume, or a certain amount of listings, or whatever you want to put as your criteria to truly be a premier agent. So if people are going on Zillow and getting hooked up with a premier agent, it's somebody that's willing to pay them money. The problem is if you have $500 per month, and that's about right, $500 per month, roughly in that, maybe $600. Basically what it does is anybody that puts in, I want more information on this house, it automatically goes to one of those agents.
Yeah.
Now, when it started, it was fine. There was like 10 agents on there. Okay, premier agent.
Probably the better agents too.
And probably, yeah.
I
And
actually make some money. I can afford to spend some money.
yeah, exactly. And so we were on it. It was fine. We had leads. We were able to call them and convert them and things like that. Well, I remember I told my dad that probably 3 years ago. Within 6 months of that, or 6 to 12 months, it was about right on. Premier agent popped up on the side. You can see the agents on there. Premier agents. The 3 agents that they had on there had a combined 2 years experience, meaning one was a year and 2 were in their first year, probably the first few months. None had sales. I remember I took a screenshot of it and I sent it to my dad and I said, this right here is why I said a year and a half ago that we would be at a Zillow. Within probably 3 to 6 months of that, we were out. We pulled out. We don't do any, because what happened was if $500 a month was giving you 30 to 50 leads, okay, well, what happens when the $500 a month is now being paid by twice as many agents? You're not getting twice as many leads. So you've gone from now paying whatever that ends up being. So say $500 for 40 leads. Now you're paying $500 for 20 leads. The leads aren't any better. They're the same. And then it's gotten to the point where you're just watering down. Your price per lead was going up exponentially.
Yeah.
And we've now pulled money out of that smartly, and we've now gone into other things. Now, some people would say, hey, I'm doing well on Zillow. Do whatever makes you happy. I just know the writing on the wall, it's not there. We've seen it completely. The price per lead has gone up substantially. And like we've talked about, they're warm leads. They're not family, friends, referrals. I've really switched over, and a lot of this had to do with you. We've talked about this for years, and I think out of people probably in any industry in our area has excelled at this, is the idea of forming relationships and forming trust and forming, a giver's mentality before you're a giver over a taker. Meaning you, and I find it funny, and I won't name names or companies, but a lot of lenders in the area have, as I've gotten more successful, have come to me and said, send us your business, basically. And probably a nicer way of them whining and dining me, but that's basically what it is at the end of the day. And I find it's funny that out of all the people that have said that, you have never once in my life said, send me your business. Ever. And guess who I think I send the most business to is you. Yeah. And the reason being, one, I think you're very good at what you do. Your team is second to none. Your communication is second to none. But I think the funny thing about all that is, like, you've always come from a mentality of, how can I give and make your business better, which I know you've done with a lot of agents, and you've helped a lot of agents get better. How can I help you guys get better, knowing in return that our success is your success?
Absolutely.
And what's cool is, like,
it's a law of reciprocity, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's
so I guess Ben, speak on that, because you're better than anybody I've ever seen at this, and I've seen your business grow over 8 years basically into what it is now, and I saw you on a paint can, and now where you've been able to grow your business. So kind of touch on your mindset or your philosophy on that, because you've done it better than anybody I've ever seen. And I think it's you've obviously it's made great strides and made a lot of good relationships, but a lot of really genuine relationships where people aren't just going to you because you may have a good rate or you may have a product, whatever. A lot of them are going to you because of the person you are. So kind of expand on that. Like, how have you been able to do that?
Well, and I think, like, I think what it does is, I mean, again, it's simple. People do business who they know, like, and trust. And if you can, like, I could send you a deal, and that might be a good deal, it might not be. But like, that's like, what's the old adage? You can teach a man to fish, or you can give him a fish, or you can teach a man to fish. Mm-hmm. And I have one of the things that I learned, and again, just getting back to being a student, I just want to learn how to be better. Mm-hmm. And I've really tried to teach other people how to be better. Like, I had a conversation with my cleaning lady this morning. She said, was like saying I was scared about growing my business. I was like, so how can I help you grow your business? Why are you scared? And just really delving into that. And I really think it comes down to just trying to help grow others. And, I have spent a small fortune in coaching and books, and I pay a salary for coaching. It's silly, but I've learned so much, and I want to constantly get better. I am a constant do it to myself project, and in doing so, I want to help other people as much as I possibly can. Because at the end of the day, I think I've got a lot of issues, and I think I got a lot of problems, and I try and, I want to get better, genuinely. And in doing so, I feel like I can help other people try and conquer their problems, because I have stubbed my toe so probably more than most people, I've literally just stopped hitting my head against the wall, so it feels good, but just helping and teaching, because if we have a deal that went sideways tomorrow, we have built a relationship that it takes it more from a relationship to a situation. Mm-hmm. If we didn't have a relationship and the deal went sideways, well, we don't have a relationship. Our relationship is done if it's based upon that business. Mm-hmm. But I think you and I have a deep friendship. We have we've had a lot of fun together. We've grown our businesses together. We've done a lot of things together. So like, if we had one deal that went sideways, and you've even pulled me aside before, like at different times, it'd be like, Adam, I love you, bro, but like, you got to fix your crap, because I'm seeing a common theme here, and you're a trusted advisor in my world, and and I've had a few of those, and I have people that I can. I call them like my bumpers, and when I'm bouncing back and forth, because, sometimes, you try and lean hard to the right and you should be going to the left, and having those people there to really help and teach you. I think that helps, but just really giving as much as you can. It's the law of reciprocity. If you give and you pour into others, it'll just naturally come back. If you just give it out and not think about yourself, it'll come back. Mm-hmm. And that's a struggle that I've had in my whole life, because, at the root, growing up, I was a really selfish guy. I was really self-centered and really focused. And it's something that I've had to work on my whole life, is this caring about others and not thinking about myself, and really putting others in front of me, and really being cognizant of that. And so I feel like it's my duty to help as many people as I can. And, you've said a lot of awesome things today, and I really appreciate it, man. But like, I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface. I really want to help so many more people. And I feel like I need to. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like I was saying before, not reaching your full potential. Like and I think, even though you may have not said this, I think it just comes across in your actions and just how you talk and carry yourself, is that you're always trying to improve and get better. And that's, I read a lot. I watch a lot of stuff. I learn. I think, I forgot who I was with the other day, and they said basically, you're just a very big like student learner, meaning I don't watch a lot of TV. I read books, or I watch YouTube videos on how to get better, or I research stuff online on how to get better, or, and I'm always trying to elevate myself as a person, which it takes time, but I love it. It's just like, I'm like addicted to the process of just getting better. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of that, especially this year, and I've taken a huge chunk of your playbook, which you've slowly kind of groomed me over the years to kind of like nudge me into that direction. But like, the greatness tracker helped, but it's the fact of, hey, really focus on other people, and that might be an individual deal where you're working to get a certain deal for the person, and you're doing everything you can and being creative and doing different things to get the person what they want ultimately, which is a house. I know we've done plenty of those where we've had to from a monetary standpoint give money back to the deal to make it happen for somebody. We've also had deals where it's like we've had to be very creative when you talk about deals falling apart. I think we're both in the mindset of we don't dwell on stuff. Like if you were to call me and say, hey, yeah, it's not looking good, deal's falling apart. Okay, so what are we doing? Like how are we, what's the next step to fix it?
Exactly.
I just had one, I called the client today, deal that looks like it might be going south, and basically called her up and said, okay, what's our options? Here's 1, 2, 3. We're going to go through all four options that we have. We're not just going to throw in the towel and say that this is done. You want the house? My first question, do you still want the house? Yes. Okay. Then this is what we're going to do to get the house. But it's always, I saw a great quote the other day from, I'm a big Gary Vee guy, but it was don't look behind you. It fucks your neck up, which basically means like once things are done, they're done. Like just keep going forward. Bad stuff's going to happen. They're going to have down days and up days, but at the end of the day, you're always trudging high. And I think if we can, from a standpoint of trying to help as many people, between clients, I've had many conversations with. I met yesterday with a newer agent, not from our office, someone that I like. I've met through last, kind of some events. Had coffee for 20 minutes. And for 20 minutes, I just told them stuff they can do to get better. Yeah. Does not benefit me. They don't work for me. They don't work. There's just another person out there. I genuinely like this person, and I think that they really want to succeed. And they're in their first year of real estate. And if anybody's done real estate is hard. You don't just get your license and all of a sudden you're balling and you're a top agent. And I've done a lot of that. I've done a lot of calls with people on marketing. People have said, I like what you're doing. Can you help us on marketing? I've had plenty of those conversations. I've had plenty of meetings, a couple a month that are just based on marketing for businesses that aren't even affected of my business, but it's giving back to others, sharing. And
this is the key to it all. Is because I do the same thing. I pour into other people. I really I help my competitors get better at their business. My team's like, what are you doing? I've got competitors that are literally copying my business and everything else, but most people won't. That's it. But I've literally had my competitors say, like, I've had them text me like, hey, I might get fired today because I'm going to piss off somebody. Can I come to work with you? The door's always open. Because I really think if you care, like if you go in and you just care, like you just love on people at the deepest root of it, it's just it helps everybody, and really just trying to grow other people, just really caring and trying to help them grow their business. Because if other people's businesses grow around you, people just want to help you. You don't even need to ask.
Yeah. And I think, from a lot of those people that I've worked with, and especially the people that are on the team, like I pour a lot of energy into people on our team to get them better. Yeah. And when people come to me and say, I want to get into real estate, I want to take my course, great. We talked about it earlier. I will be doomsday on you, meaning I will tell you all the negatives of why why you shouldn't go into real estate. I will say I love the career. I wouldn't change it, but I'm just letting you know it's an uphill climb for a few years before you get you get settled and get comfortable. And I will do everything in my power to make that my 9-year climb maybe a 4-year climb for you or 5-year climb. But you're still going to have to put the work in. But I start off very, very blunt and very. I don't think there's anybody right now that's taking the course to work with us that I told you're going to cry. I've told every single person that is getting into real estate, if you want to get in, you are committing to 3 years, like 100%. Don't bitch to me at 6 months in when you have 0 to 1 sales. Like it's the way it is. You have you have a couple connections, hopefully family and friends, but you don't know the industry that well. You don't know the nuances of all of the business. You have zero leverage with anybody, because that was me when I started. Nobody should have worked with me. Meaning, I had zero leverage. I had not proved myself. I didn't know what I was talking about. I couldn't convey it. I couldn't help others. It's my ninth year. My ninth year, I've now gotten to the point where I really feel confident that I can give to people either information, time, service, whatever. Yeah. But you're not going to do it year one, year two. Potentially year three is when I want people to be able to, if they do it correctly, can go full time. Meaning you, and I think like Ellie came in very blunt. First one, I said, if you're doing this, you were on for 3 years. Like you're not doing 1 year and flaking out on me because it's tough. And you may, like, if you really want to do real estate, you were doing it for 3 years. Because
here's your syllabus. It's a 3-year commitment. It's a 3-year grind. Mm-hmm. And you should even, I mean, dude, I would even say it's a 3 to 10 year grind, you know?
And it could be, yeah.
You know, but I think that's what, whether it's real estate, we talked a lot about real estate tonight, but I mean, like, I think any career, like if you're not willing to just go in and grind it out, like, you know, I mean, it takes work to do anything. You know, people, I think one of the downfalls of our generation, is like the microwave mentality. We want it now. We want it, yesterday. We want easy. Mm-hmm. And the secret is it's not. And just really understanding that and grinding it out. Yeah, you can be strategic and you can spend time and you can really think about different things. But I think that there's a lot of things that you can do to really, it's just a lot of freaking work, man. Mm-hmm. And it's stubbing your toe and it's beating your head off the wall, and but it's just getting better every day. And one of the things you and I talk a lot about is, what are your goals? What are your goals this quarter? What are your mm-hmm. goals this, being really, one of the things I've learned in the last few years is dreaming in high definition, being specific with the goals. Mm-hmm. I heard that recently, dreaming in high definition.
I've never heard that before from you. So that's, I like that. Yeah.
Something I picked up in the last few months. But really being like, instead of saying, hey, I want to go to Europe, like, I want to go to Greece and I want to stay in this hotel for 3 days and then I want to go to this island and I want to do that. Because if you're going to do that, you can budget it out. You can calculate what you want to do in your life or where you want to go. And really you can reverse engineer your future. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the things you and I spend a lot of time on, is saying, hey, where do I want to be in X amount of time, whether it's 90 days or 10 years or 20 years, and really figuring that out. I mean, you and I have more whiteboard space than most people combined.
I'm actually lacking. I wish I had more, but soon I'll be at that.
I heard a quote once that, like, whiteboard space was like your whiteboard space will be equivalent to your amount of wealth. And I was like, I went out that day and bought like 3 whiteboards. I was like, okay, cool.
I mean, if I'm not a tall guy, if I was, I'd have a couple more up top too. I just can't reach them. So
this place, I'd have like one of those librarian ladders in here.
That's what I need. Yeah, my vertical reach is not very good. Yeah, the whiteboard was from you. Maybe at some point I would have had a whiteboard, but that was just, you've always had from as long as I've known you, you've had a whiteboard in your office with just thoughts and ideas. And I look at this, and I've mentioned this a few times on the podcast, but it truly, and this, if anybody wants to know, this is the guy that basically got me on the whiteboard kick. Is just, it puts everything in front of you where you can't miss it. And I just really, and a lot of this stuff, I could probably erase 30% of the stuff up there. A lot of it's just like mindset stuff and things that I've kind of already done. And some of the stuff is things I want to do. Some of the stuff is things I probably won't even do for 2, 3, 4 years just because of time. Mm-hmm. But it's up there. It will get done, or it just fizz out and it's just not important anymore. Things adapt and evolve.
Did I ever tell you about my coach down in Florida? My old Carl White coach.
Maybe.
So I went down to this coach, and I wasn't there long. I got in over my head. It was my first real professional coach, and it was $1,500 a month. It was a lot of money, and I wasn't. It was tough. And but every 90 days we went down to Palm Springs, Florida, Palm Harbor, Florida, just north of Tampa, and he had this like place in a little strip mall. And he literally, the whole thing, it was just this little classroom in the middle, and the whole thing was a whiteboard. Like it was 4x8 sheets of whiteboard on every single wall in this little, it was an old like some little strip mall store. And, maybe 1,500 square feet, 2,000 square feet, something like that. But the whole thing was literally just whiteboards on every wall, just screwed right to the wall. Just the cheapest whiteboards you can buy, no frame. Yeah. Just like that. Yeah, exactly. But floor to ceiling whiteboards. And it was really bright in there, but but we went down there and we mapped out what we wanted to do for the next 90 days. And then we had a coach that kept us accountable to those 2 or 3 or 4 things that we wanted to do every single 90 days. And I think there's so much by taking off bite-sized chunks, you can accomplish any goal. You gotta crawl before you can walk. You gotta walk before you can run. You gotta run before you can sprint. And it's by keeping your head down and just taking those little bites and really focusing on a whiteboard and looking at it every single day, you can really accomplish a ton, man. So,
yeah, and that's kind of the whole idea of when I talked about doing a 10-year goal and just, a lot of the stuff I do is very mapped out. I very rarely have short-term goals, or just not, to me, it's just like...
Do you do customer appointments here?
Sometimes.
So this was a game changer for me.
Sometimes,
okay?
Yeah.
I used to keep all of my whiteboards hidden, and I wouldn't show my customers. I literally leave the room and my customers come back and they're like, "Oh, that's an awesome goal. Like, how are you going to do that?" Like, and it's, because again, people do business with who they know, like, and trust. If I just met you and my goals are right on the wall next to us in our appointment, you can see where I want to go with my life, where I want to be the next year, where I want to be the next 10 years. Yep. And you come into my office and you can see what's like, I think the space that we create around us is, our outward emotion and what we want to be, and, and our outward thoughts, and, putting pictures of my kids on the wall. Like, my kids mean the world to me, and like the amount of people that come in, like, "Oh, that's such a cute picture of this and the other thing." Like, it's, man, like, I'm going to get rid of my whiteboard space and just like monster pictures of my kids. Like,
they're cute. Like, they're cute kids. So
I'm just going to greet them at a door. I don't even do it at school. Like, I just,
I've noticed, because your office has whiteboards in it. You can see it. You can go in and kind of the same. I thought about that when I put it up.
It's scary. Like,
so I do have clients that come here. This is where any client would meet with me. They would come here. So I do. I've had
leave your customer alone. That's something one of my business coaches really taught me, and I'm trying. It's hard for me to build it into my presentation, but I leave them alone in your space. Like, go make a copy and let them be in your space for a minute. They will look around and they will trust you at a deeper level. And that's something I just started implementing the last couple of months.
Yeah, I like that.
And it's like, hey, let me go make a couple copies and this, that, the other thing. And it's part of my presentation, but it's a thought out part of my presentation that there's a tactical reason behind it, because I want them to, I don't want it to be just you and me focused having a conversation. I want them to like pick their head up and like look at my bookshelf and see what's on my bookshelf, and look at my goals and see that I'm a real person. Because at the end of the day, who are we competing against? And if you're real and genuine and raw, people connect at a deeper level with you.
Yeah, 100%. And I thought about that, about having the board up, and I thought, like, and a couple things. One, I don't really care who sees the board. There's been dozens and dozens of people that have seen this board now walking in. I've had agents walk in here. I've had lenders walk in here. I've had clients, you name it. And it kind of goes back to the first thing. One, I don't care, because it's up there. Two, people aren't going to do what I'm willing to do. Meaning, we talked about competitors and other people. Like, sure, that's what I'm going to do. It's right there. Like, you can copy it. You can do everything that I want to do. It's all sitting right there. You won't do it.
Nobody will.
Yeah, you won't do it. I'll give you the blueprint. That's why I've messaged agents. I've texted agents. I've met with them in person. Yeah. And they'll ask me stuff. And I say, do this. Hey, switch that. Hey, this looks good. Try that. Hey, social media, do this. They won't do it.
Or if they do, they won't be consistent with it.
Well, that's the other thing. And that's the thing that I think that I've been able to basically put my stake in the ground as, you can copy me, you can do stuff like me. I will just be consistent. I'll do it. I think I do it better, but even if you have some really good things here and there, you won't be as consistent as me. And I kind of, I've kind of come up with the motto. I just thought about this. I put it at the top of the board, but it's like it's just the idea that if you can just put the time and effort and just energy and just outwork people. You don't have to be the most talented. I don't think I'm the most talented. I've learned a lot over the last 9 years. I'm just willing to outwork you, and I'm just willing to just grind out and implement stuff and practice and do and get better and improve. And it's tough to beat somebody that doesn't stop. You know what I mean? And
Dude, that's my motto, brother.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I love what I do, and I don't think I'll ever stop improving. So it's like if I got a gap between, it's like I'm just going to keep plugging away. So like you see my pace, like you got to be working really hard to beat me because like I think you had said if somebody's working 10 hours a day, I'm putting in 12 to 14 hours consistently on very productive stuff, and it takes time to get to that level. But it's when you get to that level though, it's fun. I mean, it's an adrenaline rush every day. I mean, I know it sounds weird being in like, but I know you get it. Like in just
Absolutely.
It's just I don't know. It's just a weird.
I mean, I was put down a lot as a child, and I was put down a lot as a kid, and I was always told I couldn't do things, and I was like, "Well, yeah, watch me." Like literally, how I got into the mortgage business was somebody told me I couldn't do it. Oh yeah, not only will I, I'll crush everybody around me, But yeah, you just gotta out hustle and outwork and out grind everybody. Like, okay, you're gonna make 20 calls this week. I'm gonna make 200. And it's just that law, that numbers. And I mean, you're better at the online thing than I am, and that's something that I'm getting old. Like, I need like. I gotta hire a college kid like you did. That was the best move you ever did. Like, she's awesome,
Yeah. She does well. Yeah.
But it's getting to the point where, like, with people on my team, I'm in my mid 30s, but people are calling me old. And I got to keep up with the online stuff. But you asked me today, do you text? And I'm like, I hate to. Whatever.
Yeah.
Unless I'm driving, that's the only time I'll text.
Yeah. I mean, I would. God. I think I can track how many times I text in a day. I told Adam when he walked in today, I'm like, I was texting somebody, and now luckily it was a girl on the team, and I was like, I was texting, and it was completely wrong. Like, it wasn't wrong. It was just like, I don't misspell a lot of stuff. I'm really anal on like making sure it's
grammar and
grammar's good, and even to just people that I could like slang words out.
Yeah.
But I just like typed something, and I did like a exclamation point instead of a question mark, and I was going to change, and I'm like, I don't even want to touch this phone anymore. It's just one of those days. It was like, I mean, it's good. A lot of good stuff happened today, but it was just the fact that there's I've been up since 5 a.m. this morning, you know what I mean? And it's great. It's just a lot of stuff, and you're packing it in, and you're trying to make the most of each day. But it's fun. I mean, that's the fun aspect of it. But there's like the technology aspect. We're not far off, but I didn't have any of this stuff. I didn't grow up with it. Like, and I think people think I'm good at technology. I'm not. I don't barely know how to turn our TV on. One, I don't watch it too often, but I was at my parents' house on Sunday, and the golf was on. And then, of course, I'm big nut when it comes to like especially the Masters and stuff. And I gave it to my dad. I don't know how to run this TV. I don't know how to do the remote control. Like, I'm in my 20s still, but I never grew up with. Like the kids that are having their phone at 8, 9, 10 years old, and all they're doing is learning that. Like me, I spend more time on Google and YouTube than an average person will probably do in a decade, and I do that probably in a month.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I got to learn stuff. Like today I was like learning how to, little minor things like even for the podcast or for something in marketing. Like if I don't know how to do it, I will just watch videos until I learn it and then practice and practice and practice and practice. Like I didn't know how to do Instagram. Like I've gotten.
I don't even have an Instagram account, dude.
Yeah,
like,
which I
you've
been in a lot of my photos. I just can't tag you, so I used to tag your bank and stuff. So, which doesn't go to you, but somebody whoever's running that account always.
So you say, I got to go on the Insta.
You got to get on there. All your girls are. Actually, I don't know. Katie's on there,
dude. Like I'm literally the old man. Like they talk about these things that they see. Like I don't know. I gotta do it. It's just. It's not something that, because like I look, one of the things that's different about our industries is I'm in front of a phone or in a computer for 10 hours a day. The last thing I want to freaking do when I'm by myself is flip through my phone. Like I I want to be done. I want to look at my mountains. I want to watch the sunset. I want to I want to, I don't want to be around technology.
You're different. And for people that don't know Adam, you kind of touched on it very briefly when it was going through, but you grew up in Colton Pierpont, which if you don't know where it is, good luck finding it. Yeah,
it's like the halfway point between Tupper Lake and Potsdam. So like you get to the middle of nowhere, you take a left, you drive 30 minutes, and that's where I'm at. You know, like.
So, here's a guy you were a dog musher, okay, in Alaska, for a couple summers, right?
3 years, yeah, 3 summers.
Was it summers?
Two summers and 2 summers and 1 full year.
How often do they have snow up there? Is it all year?
No, that's ridiculous.
But you said dog musher in the summer?
Yeah, I lived on a glacier.
So there was snow?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was on a glacier. I was on like a mile of snow and ice. Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah. So I wasn't. I mean, I've never been to Alaska, but what was the daytime like there? Because hours of sunlight.
So people won't be able to see this, but Alaska. I can't do this.
No, you can do it. We'll explain it.
So, like, Alaska kind of looks like your hand if your top 3 fingers are pointed out, pulled in, your other.
So basically, pretend you're shooting a gun with your finger, just turned upside
down. Your pointer finger is the Aleutian Islands. Your thumb is Southeast Alaska. Juneau, Haines, Skagway, and your top 3 fingers, your middle finger through your pointer finger, are kind of spread out and kind of pulled in. That's kind of what Alaska looks like. At least this is what I used to tell people when I was a tour guide. Yeah. And so we're like a few inches south of that. So in the summer, I was down here. Okay. So like in the summer here, it gets light at 5 a.m. And it gets dark at 9 or 9:30. It was the same thing, but it got light at like 3 a.m. and it got dark at
7.
No, at like 11 at night in the summer. Because I spent summers up there.
Gotcha.
So it's just like it extended here, but it just was like 2 hours on the other side of the day. Then. Yeah. One of the cool things was I was up in Fairbanks, kind of about the center of the state, for the summer solstice, and we hiked this little knoll, and it was cool. Like you could see the sun come down over the horizon, and the sun went down like 80% of the way, and then it rose back up.
Really?
It never fully set. It was one of the coolest days of my life to see the sun come down and not fully set and then start to rise back up. We were on this knoll looking north, and it was really freaking neat, man. I mean, it really just shows you how huge the world is and how small we are,
Yeah. Have you ever seen the Northern Lights?
Yeah, tons of times.
Yeah.
So I spent a winter and a half up in Fairbanks, and then I spent some time out in the bush. And in Eagle, Alaska, and I was halfway up the Yukon-Alaska border. It was me and a buddy and 9 dogs that we lived. Our closest neighbor was 16 miles away, and it was
wow.
It was freaking cool. Like
now, I think this either I was dreaming this or I wasn't seeing what I thought I saw. We were driving back one time. I think kind of like Route 11-ish, 37 Route 11. I was top north of the state. Can you see the Northern Lights from there?
I saw them in Colton once.
Okay.
You can see them, but it's not often that we do because I don't understand what they are, but like the sky dances. But dude, like in the winter in Fairbanks, Alaska, almost every night, the lights,
that's cool.
It's just, it's out of this world, man.
Yeah. Because I saw it once as a kid. I just remember this vividly, driving on the road, and it was the Northern Lights, and it was probably something like around the time that they would be there, and it was, you're kind of north of the state. I mean, we're about latitude 44. We're about that latitude. But I've always had a fascination with like space and stars and planets and galaxies, and when you talk about like the moon coming down and not like
the sun
or the sun, the sun. So when you talk about the sun coming down, it's like I was driving to the office this morning. It was probably like 6:45, and the sun is like right in your eyes, kind of deal. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, it's incredible. And I know I'm 29. I've seen the sun thousands and thousands of days. It like hit me today. I'm like,
how many times have you really looked at it?
I know, not enough. Yeah, thank God. But it's like I'm sitting there thinking about it. I'm like, how is that damn thing so far away? But it is literally blinding me right now. Hundreds and thousands or millions of miles away. It is literally blinding me. Where I got to put my hand up to look at the lights because I can't see the damn lights change on the street light. So
Have
it's
you
like,
really thought about that, like how tiny and insignificant we really are.
Yes, look straight up in the sky at night and just see, like on a clear night, and just see stars.
But think about like how, I mean, you know, like, and this is getting a little deep, I guess, but you know, like how perfect our situation of our planet needs to be in order for us to thrive.
Yeah.
And you know, and we've talked a lot about like growing business and growing different things, but like, what if there was a change that changed everything? You know? Well,
when you talk about like, I mean, you look at that, like from what we know, Earth is the only planet with life on it. I don't believe that to be true because have you ever seen, if anybody wants to, Google, or go YouTube, not Google, go on YouTube and type in something along the lines of Earth's ratio compared to space or whatever.
Yeah.
It is freaky because it starts off with like, this is Mercury, this is Earth, a little bit bigger. Okay, cool. Goes up. All of a sudden, this Earth is a spot on the moon, like a spot. You can barely see it. Then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, by the way, this is Jupiter. This is like, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden, you're like, oh, this is our galaxy. Oh, by the way, here's our galaxy in the Milky Way. And then it keeps, and then you go like, oh, here's the Milky Way. Milky Way is a spot on this. Oh, by the way, here's Betelgeuse, the planet Betelgeuse. Here's Ursa Minor. Like, you're looking at how big these planets are, where you can't even see our solar system anymore. And that right there, like, makes you kind of uneasy because you're like, oh, like there's so much more out there. I guarantee you, like, there is millions of probably other planets out there that have life on them. I don't know if they look like us, but they have life. They do whatever. Like, I mean, I just think it's incredible, like, what space entails. And like, space is what, 6-7 billion years old or something like that. When you talk about just in time, and like we're talking like seconds or an hour, like a 2-hour podcast compared to the span of like just the Earth, not counting the galaxy. And I don't know, it's kind of like when I see people that are very religious thinking that there's like a higher power. That's like the times that makes me think that like the Earth is too perfect to be able to sustain itself. And, you know, like, we had a child, like, childbirth is incredible. Like, just the idea that just things work in the Earth, talking about organisms, talking about plants that affect the Earth, that affect little things on your body that affect or have adapted over time. Like, we've adapted from monkeys from some point. We will adapt hundreds of years from now to be a different like a different version of our own species. Like, it's just incredible to see the whole spectrum. But it makes you think about like, oh, I guess like my problem I had today was not that big of a deal because like it's a small speck. Like but it like blows your mind. And I don't know. I've always had this fascination with space.
You know, I heard something once, and you know, and the other thing that I never really thought about was the time aspect of it, and thinking about it in 3D. And kind of a couple points, but like, you know, we might be the only intelligent beings that we've found out there, but we're the only intelligent beings we've found out here at this time.
Exactly.
You know, and we see time as a day-to-day thing, but like the Earth the universe is billions of years old. Was there a different intelligent life out there when there was dinosaurs roaming the world? Was there a different intelligent life out there while we were like microorganisms? Are there other organisms out there now that are, you know, they're dinosaurs and they're not, you know, intelligent or whatever? I mean, I guess that it would be intelligent, but you know, something like that. But you know, humans, as humans have been, I mean, think about it. Like, we've been around and intelligent and been able to like reach out into the universe for 60 years. 60 years is nothing over 9 billion or whatever it is.
Yeah.
6.7 billion or whatever it is, like, so so I think there's that, but I also, you said something about like, this place is perfect in this, and something that it's kind of always been on, like, one of the things that I just haven't studied that I really want to is quantum physics. And I think there's so much to be, and this is kind of edging on the border of religion or whatever. And I've never been a super religious guy, but there is something to be said, I think, for you are what you think about most of the time. And I think if you care and not even that, like, but like, I think if you,
like, where you focus your energy.
Yeah, where you focus your energy and what you think. Like, this is kind of something like a little game I play with myself. I win a lot. Like, I win a lot of things, but I think I'm gonna win. Like, I win so many like little raffles and things like that. Like, people are like, "How do you win that?" And I literally think about it, and like I'll close my eyes and I envision myself winning, and then I win.
Yeah,
and it's silly and stupid.
Visualization's powerful.
But there's something to be said, and I don't know what that connection is, and I don't know what it is, but it's honestly, it's probably something that we should study more, and I don't know what it is, but I think if you focused effort and focused energy on something, it just happens. And, whether that's goals or, lottery drawings or what, but, there's something to be said for that. And it's something that I don't know anything about that, I'm going to make that's going to be one of my goals I'm going to learn about.
Yeah. Like, I think focus is it from, it's kind of funny. We've, visualization to me is huge. I've had times where I've visualized stuff extremely vivid, in the sense of like wasn't accomplished, but I wanted to accomplish. I think it's as funny as, winning, back in high school, winning like a state championship in soccer. Like, I envisioned winning it basically at the beginning of the season. Like, it was weird. Like, you had months to do it, but like, I just knew we were like, in my gut, I knew we were going to win. I've done it with, our old girlfriends in the past. I know it sounds weird, but like, I really like that girl, and like, but you like, and she doesn't like me kind of deal. Like, I did that with Gina for a few months. Like, I kind of like, it's just like, but you kind of like envision like, or even just like meeting people. I've had like business acquaintances. I know it's kind of funny, but like meeting Aaron was a very odd occurrence. We talk about it all the time. I was about a split-second decision from probably having a totally different, not working here, not being, like different thing, meeting certain people. I do it with listings. I have a listing I think I'm going to have come up very soon. I've been envisioning getting the listing for over 2 years. I know it sounds weird. It was just one that, long story short, I think I'm going to accomplish that, which would be really cool. And like a lot of the stuff is, trying to hit, my goal I set year 2, I think, of real estate, basically to what I wanted to accomplish by the time I was 30. Very, very much within reach now. And if you told me 8 years ago if that was in reach, I would have laughed. I have no clue how I'm going to do it. It's kind of a stupid goal. But thought about it a lot, envisioned it, put the small effort in. So now I'm kind of like, that's like kind of validates it. And then you're kind of like, I'm 29. What is my 40-year goal going to be? And the thing is, like, 40's young. I know it sounds crazy. When I was a kid, you think it's so old, but as I've gotten older, it's like, dude, I see people like around town. I'm like, they're 60 and they're crushing, and they're like energy levels up. I'm like, they're twice my age. I'm like, I can't wait. That gives me 30 more years to do what I'm doing. Like, what am I going to accomplish in 30 years? Taking the snowball effect into consideration, because when you talk about scratching the surface, like, I am 100% like feeling like I'm just getting like if you go from a baby perspective, I find that I'm crawling right now. I've gotten over the rolling part that I'm crawling, and like I'm probably 5 years away from like stumbling into my walk. If that makes, you know, and I think in the grand, if you were to use that as an analogy for the next 50 years, you know,
I totally understand. Like, cause I'm 5 years down the road, and I've succeeded. And the thing that I've been trying to figure out is, what is my next step? Do I just continue at this pace? Do I try and continue to grow? What does that look like personally? What does that look like? And what's next? Because that's really something that when you crush your goals, you have to come up with new goals. And I don't know what my goals are anymore. And I'm kind of getting out. This is something that I've really started to flounder with what do I want my goals to be? What's super important to me? And the things that were important to me when I was 25 are no longer important to me. You know, and I'm really starting to think about how can I build a legacy, and what do I want my The Subtle Art of Don't Giving a Fuck. Awesome book.
I've listened to it, yeah. Yep.
And it really got me thinking about what is my legacy? What again, we're here for such a short blip of time. Why are we here? You know, what can we do to impact and help others? And what's my why? And that's really something that I'm really starting to struggle with. And I want to, you know, and one of the things I give you so much props for is your why is so defined and so clear. And I had that before, and I don't know what mine is now. And it's something that I'm kind of floundering on a little bit. And dude, I went through a little depression because I didn't know what my why was. I didn't know why I was doing it. And, you know, you can go through the emotions every day, but if you're not having fun, you know, you got to have fun with it. So,
yeah.
But what is the why? And that's, you know.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I've gone to the same where I didn't have, I think my why got much more defined about 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think I took a real big turn in my business. And the thing was, I think that I ended up going from my why and goals got bigger than what they were. And I think what happens is kind of the same thing when you're shooting for, what is the adage? If you're shooting for the moon, you end in the stars or something like that, meaning
shoot for the stars, and if you hit the moon, you're
whatever good. That, yeah, bad butchering of that that quote there. But the idea is that my goals, I don't think they were good. I think, and I'm still trying to hit a big one, which I think is in reach. And the thing is, now everything's now evolved. So the goals that I've now set are bigger, but they're bigger than myself. It's not like an individual. I need people to help me with it. So
what's the biggest goal you're swinging for right now?
My biggest goal that I have semi-defined, meaning I'm just growing the company. I'm growing the brand. I'm growing the company. I'm growing the culture.
How do you measure that?
So, I mean, it's from one standpoint, from a company standpoint, would be the number one office in our region. Which from a defining standpoint, I can do that with numbers. You know, I can look at the numbers. I can see what kind of the average amount of people or sales or whatever is. Now, my bigger thing than that, that's what I track my numbers, meaning my volume and deals per year. I have a board. I have every number down to exactly what I've done, and they're all just lined up. I can see it's my tally sheet, you know, and I want to do that I find that I've gone at this point as doing it from an individual perspective, where now I want to do it as a group perspective. So I want to take what I've been able to do over 10 years and multiply that into a group scenario where, you know, if I can get to the point where I can be the number one agent in our area, I've really climbed the peak as an individual agent. If you're number one, you can get better as a number one. You know, you can distance yourself from number two, but from a standpoint of you've outsold everybody. I mean, nobody can say they've outsold more than you. so that's like goal one that I've always had, but now it's evolved to like, I now want to do that as a company, but I want to do it from a standpoint. We've talked about commission splits. We've talked about culture. We've talked about, I want to do it from a standpoint of I can bring as many people along on that journey with me. Ellie is number one. Like, she's brand new. She was like day one. She's my sidekick that I want to bring on with me. And Ellie, I think me and Ellie will be in business for a long time, in whatever we end up doing. But I think that something with her, I want her to be able to accomplish some crazy things in life because we were able to give her the platform to do it and I want her to make 4 times the average income up here. I want her to be able to crush everything up here that she wants to do and have the resources and ability to do that. And I want to do that with Agent 2 and Agent 3 and Agent 4. But at the same token, by being able, the only way to accomplish that is by helping a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I've even gotten to the point where, not even just from an individual person perspective of trying to help people buy or sell, because I really think it's a huge deal. You're buying your first home, you're selling a house, you're downsizing, you're upsizing, whatever. All that stuff is a huge, we just went through the whole buying, selling process back in October. I live this day to day, and it was still emotional for me to leave our first house. It was still, nerve-wracking. It was still like, it's all of those things, but at the end of the day, I consider that my greatest deal I ever did, getting into our home. Out of all the stuff I've ever done in 9 years, out of all my sales, I think I'm the most happy on that one because you were with me on that one. We went through a lot of shit, but we pulled it off. And
got a table saw.
There was a lot, but it was like one of those things I can really look back at and be proud of myself and and what I did and how we just the entire scenario was just a win. But if we can, then I've even looked at the point where I've gotten big with Adirondack Young Professionals and just trying to grow that because I just think our area has so much to offer, and I think we have a lot of young talent here. There are some phenomenal young people in this community.
Dude, crazy.
And the thing is, we've been lucky enough that we've been able to align with them because we've just been able to be in the same kind of sphere as them. But God, there are some just A+ players out there that are in their 20s and 30s, and I'm trying to be able to. I'm starting to kind of make some more strides within the chamber and kind of get more comfortable with, I would say, the older demographic of our area that has been around longer, and trying to tie in the young to the Adirondack Young Professionals, to the chamber, to the college. And I think I went to an event a couple weeks ago at the college, and it's like, man, there are some bright kids there, and the problem is they come up here and they go home. Like, how do we This was always this is my biggest pet peeve with Adirondack Young Professionals. I love that organization. I think the people there are great. The mission statement is to attract and retain young talent to our area, or young professionals. We have an influx of people every year at that college, every year, from all walks of life, from international to the city to different states and beyond. And you look at that and it's like, how do we keep those people here? So I went to this thing a couple weeks ago, and I asked a couple of them, I said, how do you guys like college? Good. Okay, great. Do you guys like Plattsburgh? Yeah. I said, would you guys stay in Plattsburgh? They're like, yeah, if we had opportunity. And what blows my mind is that I believe there's opportunity, or will be opportunity, in Plattsburgh, but it's trying to connect those kids to you, to me, to these other people in the area that, like, I might not have a position for you, but we know of people who may, or you might just say, hey, listen, I'm just gonna get an entry level, kind of slum it out for a couple years. I like these people. I like the area. I like hiking. I like going to Montreal. I like going to Burlington or whatever. But you can come here and retain that. So, like, I've really started to evolve my mindset, not necessarily like, again, me as an individual agent. I'm looking at my company because I want to make a presence here with my company. But I say my, but like our, I'm very big on like a group of people. Like I want to make a presence with our company, but I also want to make a presence with trying to keep all those, like trying to better the area than when we kind of leave it better than we found it. And I'm really big on if we can do that. And I think there's a lot of positive things happening. I think there's a lot of positive people in the Plattsburgh area that are really trying to grow it. I was at an event the other day, and Gary Douglas was saying that in the last 3 years, Plattsburgh is ranked top 10 in micro cities in North and South America. That's 50,000 or less people. There's a lot of cities in not the U.S., North America and South America,
Mexico, Canada,
Brazil, Argentina. These major countries. We are been in the top 10 in the last 3 polls, and you look at that and it's like, man, there's a lot of opportunity up here. And going forward, there's going to be more and more. But it's like, how can we attract those kids? How can we better the area? I mean, I'm a big proponent, and I talk about you being one of my business mentors. My other one is Aaron, and I mean, you can't get more pro North Country than that guy.
Straight up.
But I think, he's seen that, and he sees the opportunity, and that's something that I've been able to, I think, see over the last probably year to 2 years, and that's kind of been my indirect goal. Right now, I'm just kind of like really just kind of testing that, not in a sense of, but it's like trying to make connections, trying to get people involved in the community a little bit more. And I think at the end of the day, if we can better it for, our kids, or, and make Plattsburgh an attractive area for people to come, there's a lot of history geographically. I mean, from a standpoint, yes, the winters are long, but at the end of the day, we don't have really many natural disasters. We have no hurricanes, we have no tornadoes. Yeah. We have an ice storm once in 100 years, and it's like, you look at these kind of things, that our area is phenomenal. It's just a matter of trying to get people to invest in the area and stay in the area. But it's like, that's really been something I've focused on, and I will continue to focus on because I believe in it a lot. But that's part of the grand thing, and I don't know how to quantify that. I haven't really put that in perspective of numbers and tracking. It's a lot of the stuff with everything in my business. A lot of the stuff I do is unquantifiable, meaning that you can't put a number behind it. You can't put a number behind a conversation you have with somebody. Just a genuine conversation. If I have a conversation with somebody in the waiting room at the, while I'm getting my oil changed, I don't know where that will lead. I don't know, me posting a photo or me going to an event and saying hi to somebody, or even just smiling at somebody. I mean, I can't put a number on that, but little things like that, karma, which is another thing that I have on my board. It's like, karma's a real thing, and it's like, if you just put out positivity finds you. Do
unto others, man.
Yeah, and the golden rule has been, I used to be very, I grew up going to the church and stuff, and I haven't really gone in many years, and part of the reason is I just find that you can simplify life down into the golden rule, and I just try to live by the golden rule. I try to be nice to people. I try to care about people. I try to give people benefit of the doubt. I try to, life's hard. I mean, when I see people having tough times, or, people struggling with certain things, it's like, dude,
make other people smile. Yeah. Man. If you can make one person smile a day, like
makes you smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, this is being a leader and everything, it's, I don't think about myself that way, but like, if you can just go in and start giving high fives, like I give out high fives to everybody, like
I gave to Jordan and she left.
Yeah, I did. But like, there's something about that. Like people tell me, like, that just makes me feel better.
Yeah.
And and I kind of do it just to be goofy, but like, it makes other people smile. It makes other people, like, again, I don't think I'm that great, but I go in, if I can make people feel comfortable, they connect at a deeper level.
Yeah, and I think the mindset's there for you. I mean, this is one of the things I struggled early in my career, was being like too not uptight, but too like professional. Like I wanted to be, I was young, I underestimated myself, and I was very, I had to stay in my shell kind of thing. If anybody knows me now, like the last 3-4 years, I'd say definitely the last 3 years, I've really come out of my shell, and I've been very much just like, who you see me now, you'll see me with my friends, you'll see me on the weekends, you'll see me at home. But I'm more outgoing, I'm more goofy. I mean, I think
you're
that resonates
real.
with people.
Raw,
yeah, you're real. Yeah, and
like, because that's what people don't want, the stuffy, guy. You know, like they don't want some prick. They want to see who you are.
They want fun.
Like
they want us to swear on this podcast because like we're not. Trust me, I'm not very.
Well, you know, I read this book called Pound the Stone recently. It's a great read, and it was just do the same thing over and over again. But one of the things that they said in there was take your mask off, like. Yeah. Just show people who you are, what you really care about. And like, and it's something I've been really, I keep saying to myself, take your mask off, take your mask off, take your mask off. My sister, you know, I've known my sister her whole life, you know, she's 2 years younger than me, basically my whole life. And she said to me the other day, she's like, man, you've been more emotional in the last few months than you ever have in your life. You know, and I think as guys, we have a tendency to not be, not you know, not wear our heart on our sleeves, you know, so to speak. And and I think there's something to be said about just being raw and telling people you care about them and showing it, you know. I mean, I think that's one of the things I think we all need to get better at is just telling and showing people how much we appreciate them, you know.
Yeah. And I man, it's like, it makes such a difference when you can just have, because at the end of the day, if you act like that, like just act normal and act yourself and act like fun and goofy and loving and everything like that, people mirror that back to you.
Yeah.
And guess what? That's how they want to act. They don't want to act all,
people want to be real. Yeah. Like, and you know what? People can't be pissed off at you if you're raw like that, you know, like if you're being goofy and everything else, like, and somebody's super frustrated and everything else, and you're emotionally positive to them, and you smile when they're pissed off. Like there's power in a smile, man. Like
it's especially our business, because we talk about it being hard. Like
that's the people business.
Yeah, and what's funny is the amount of times we every day, and you know this, we're putting out fires.
Yeah,
it's a firefight. I mean, every day you're a firefighter. I mean, in the you know the figurative sense of that, we every day run up against problems. We have ups, we have downs. If like you're getting into our business, you're on a blind roll. You're on a roller coaster blind because you don't know when the sky's gonna. You know, basically, you don't know when you're gonna drop. And but the idea is when that's gonna happen, it's how you react to it. We talked about. Yeah. Okay, what's the next step? And I think every time we've ever had an issue, it's like, okay, great. What's the next step? Like, there's a problem. We just got to fix it. But it's like, let's not dwell and say, oh, this is unfair, or, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, let's find the solution so we can get past this.
Well, one of the things I learned early on from one of my business coaches, and I mean, hiring a coach is literally like... Nobody won the Super Bowl without a great coach. You know, like you have to have a great coach. And one of the things I learned from one of my coaches early on is if there is a problem, before the problem blows up and everybody's pissed off, tell everybody there's a problem. And then celebrate after the problem that you fixed it. Even if it's a little problem and people are worried about it, you know, like, hey, you know, there is something on the horizon. It might blow up in our face. It might not, but it's out there. Yeah. And I don't want this coming from left field and surprising us all in the 11th hour.
Yeah, and I think that's as part of like this setting the expectation thing. Same thing. Like I said, we had a deal fall apart this week. Called up the seller, and I'm like, hey, just gonna break it to you. Deal fell apart. They're backing out. Like, then I kind of explained it. I probably hit him a little hard, but I'm like, I'm letting you know now before, you know, just back on the market. We're doing this. This is what we're doing. Here's how we're proactive to get it back on track. But you know, you got to, you know, and I have one of the sheets. I have a couple things I just kind of lay on my desk at night, and then I, you know, see in the morning. One's that 4W thing, but the other thing is do the hardest thing first. That's on my sheet. Eat the frog, and it's basically the idea of like do the thing every single day. And it's easier said than done. There's some days I have a hard time with it, but I really try to do it. Is do the thing that you're thinking about, Just do it. Like it's going to be uncomfortable. But usually what happens, what I found, is when you overthink about it and then you actually do it, it's not as bad as what you thought. Meaning you built this up so bad in your mind that by the time it actually happens, you're like, why did they just call them at 9 this morning instead of 2?
Well, everybody wonders why I call them in the morning.
Yeah.
I make all my calls in the morning. Like my day, like if you look at my calendar 3 years from now, Like you look at my calendar, it's all like 3/4 of my calendar is booked out. It's a reoccurring event, and I fit everything else in between. And
Same.
Well, you have to manage the time, and literally my power hour and who I'm going to call every single day is mapped out. I know who I'm going to call. She's freaking awesome. Right. She's the best assistant I've ever had. Yeah. And like that girl can anticipate my thoughts. But like the other day I asked her, I was like, hey, I need this. And they were literally done in her hand. I was like, can you get me for this morning? They were literally done in her hand. Yeah, she'd already, she's great. She's so fantastic, man. But like, I forgot where I was going with that. Where were we going with that?
Wait, just give me a sec. You were talking about... Oh, my God. Wow. I have to listen back to that. I thought you were talking about you're talking about doing the biggest thing first. Like
doing the biggest thing. Yeah. That's right, yeah. But knowing who you're going to call. And it's literally gotten to the point, like, she literally has my calendar built out, and she gives it to me every morning of, this is who you need to call by noon. Mm-hmm. Like it's already loaded up. I have used a dialing system to help me dial just to keep me on track. Mm-hmm. I get shiny object syndrome, as we just learned. Yep. But all I literally have to do is hit dial. Like is hit dial, is load up that. She gives me a sheet of everybody I need to call, and she literally hands it to me and just says, call these people. Mm-hmm. Like my team tells her who I need to call, and she tells me that I need to call them. And calling those people and being super proactive and knowing who you're going to call on which day, it's having a plan and working the plan.
Well, I think you talked about before consistency.
Yeah.
And you talked about, we talked about communication. If anybody's used you, or any agents use you or whatever, at no point could they ever say, I never heard from Cross Country Mortgage. I never heard from Adam. The reason being is, and again, we talk consistency, you have called me every Tuesday for as long as I can remember, because I know that's the day you call and say, this is your pipeline and this is the things you're doing. And
it's the only day you'll answer the phone.
And you know what's, I know. And to be honest, I do it partly because I just know what you calling and some days I miss it. I try to pick up my phone, but if I'm in appointments and stuff, or like today, I missed it and then I called you back before you left the voicemail. But it's the idea that I know every Tuesday, I'm going to get something from you. I now have I have my status calls that you had me do. I put them on Tuesdays and Fridays, meaning I check all my pendings on Tuesday and I check them on Friday before the weekend, just to make sure in the morning, just make sure there's everything kind of buttoned up. And I played around with that. I may move the Friday to Thursday, but because I think you do Tuesday, Thursday. But I get emails every Tuesday and Thursday from your team. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason I put it on Tuesday is because I know I'm going to get an email from you guys, and I just basically tell them, I mean, they're on it, they're CC'd, but I still reach out to them and I say, hey, this is where we're at. Any questions? This is kind of the timeline on other stuff besides mortgage, but this is where we're kind of going. And any questions? And I think one of the best things you ever said to me is, and I think about this a lot, is that an outbound call takes 2 minutes and an inbound call takes 20.
It's true, man.
And it's so crazy that happened today. Today's
Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday. I was like, why? Today's not Wednesday. Okay, it's Tuesday. And I called a couple people and it was like, hey, this is where we're at. Ding, ding, ding. And I'm like, oh, great, thanks, cool. Like, and then we're being proactive. We're not putting out fires. We're a step ahead.
But if you set that expectation too, then everybody knows you're going to call on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Monday night, they're not anticipating like. We picked up a fumble that somebody else denied, and we're running through. This girl literally has told us every 2 or 3 days how awesome we are just because we talked to her. Mm-hmm. That's not rocket science, just, you
don't have to be better to pick the phone up.
No, like literally I've built my business on just a couple of key principles. And one of the things I did, one of my first coaches had me do was go out and interview every realtor. What do you want in a lender? And without, almost unanimously, it's close on time, don't lie to me, and communicate. Mm-hmm. And usually it's like communicate, close on time, and don't lie to me. Like
that's it. Yeah, that's about right.
It's not freaking rocket science. This is like I'm not reinventing.
Realtors are very simple. Yeah, we only need a few things. So yeah,
but it's not hard, and it's sales. Deliver what the people want. Mm-hmm. Okay, you want me to communicate? Well, here's my plan to communicate. Mm-hmm. I will communicate this to you. This is what you should expect.
Yeah. I mean, I very rarely have to ever reach out to you guys and say what's going on. Usually, if I do, it's more of like we have to discuss something. Yeah, it's not like where are we at? I know where we're at. We have to discuss what's going on more so than saying like and that's the expectation. I know it up front. Mm-hmm. I mean, most lenders I have to contact and say where are we at? And it blows my mind that, and there's some very good lenders in the area, but nobody's been able to really pick up that that ball and run with it, meaning the communication aspect, and you guys are second to none by far.
Well, I mean, I literally tell my competitors what my plan is, just because, like you said about it earlier, like it's not rocket science. It's a really simple plan, but nobody executes.
Yeah.
Because I have a coach. I have a business coach that gives me the carrot when I need it and gives me the stick when I need it. And I you're only as good as who your coach are. You have to have that accountability. Mm-hmm. And truthfully, that's what coaching is it's accountability. You have to be accountable to somebody. And when we're independent contractors, that's what they always say. Hey, I'm an independent contractor. I work for myself. Well, that's really good, but it's also really bad. Mm-hmm. You got to be accountable to somebody.
Well, I think that the two things is you got to find a network of like-minded individuals.
Yeah.
You and I, me and Aaron. I have a meeting Thursday with Aaron for a couple hours. Cool. Like once a month, we do that, and it really kind of brings you back to center, allows you to kind of think deeper on some thoughts, execute some things. But that's the stuff that allows you to grow. Mm-hmm. And I think you talked about the accountability of an independent contractor. Sure, if I wanted to, I could have canceled my appointments today, hung out, did whatever, but instead I'm going to, pretty much be in the office from 7 to at least 8 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And, it's past 8 now. 7 to, but that's just something that I like doing, but it's like I'm putting in the work. I could have did anything today.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to find a deeper purpose. Like my purpose every day is not just to come and make phone calls. Like, my purpose is gone, like we've talked about. I mean, it's just growing and growing. And I mean, I'm 29. Like I don't know. I don't think I'll ever retire. So I got a lot of time to just keep building and building and building. And like to me, it's fun. And whatever I'm doing in my 40s, 50s, and 60s and 70s, I probably don't even know what it is now. I mean, with the emergence of technology and everything else, who knows what we'll be doing? But it's like I'm still going to be better than I was today. And that's kind of it's like the thrill of the hunt kind of thing, or the chase, and it's not being. I mean, man, we talked about trying to grow 20% each year. Like that's my goal each year is like 20%. But I knew my 10-year goal wouldn't be a 10-year goal; it'd be incremental goals built up over time. And since I've been trying to build 20%, I've outdone that every single year that I've ever set that out. And now I'm getting to the point where the number looks scary. I mean, I'm like, I don't know if I can pack that all in a year. And I just talked to you before I got in here. I'm like, I'm actually ahead of schedule right now, which is crazy. So
Tony Robbins has a quote, that we always overestimate what we can do in a year, but we always way underestimate what we can do in a decade.
Yeah,
because that's really what it is. True. It's true. It's that compound effect, that snowball that you called it, and really growing. I mean, if you start at 10 and you grow 20% a year. Yeah, I don't have a calculator, but you're
even 5 years later, it's a lot.
Exactly. Yeah, you've doubled your business in just a few years. It's that, do you want $1 million now or a penny that doubles every single day for a month? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do the math on that, folks. It's like
$3.5 million.
Take
or something.
The penny. Yeah, take the penny.
Most people won't. Most people take the $1 million.
Yeah, I know, and it's
most people won't wait and put in the time and effort to sow the seed. Yeah. Most people want the instant gratification.
I think that's, and I don't know I don't know where that came from. I've always been that. I've always been a delayed gratification kind of person, where I always find that, and I look back at it, the things that come easy aren't what you look back at and are proud of. You know, it's the grind, it's the hard stuff, it's the stuff that you're like, man, I can remember some stuff, even like old school projects and sporting things and certain aspects of business, or even just like when you accomplish something that just seems hard, when you get done, you feel really good about it. And like if you get something that's just handed to you, like there's no satisfaction because the climb wasn't there. Like, so that's the kind of thing. Like I get excited about certain aspects because it's like, man, like when I was 21, like I didn't know what I was doing, and like now I'm like, yeah, like I like all this time that's been built up. Like you can look back at it, and there's days I look back at it and I'm like, dude, like you're kind of doing it. You know what I mean? You're kind of getting there, and it's like, and then it gives you momentum going forward. Like, okay, I can see what's happening. It's still gonna be a long climb, but like I can see by just taking one step, doing one little action is gonna pay off in multitudes of ways. And but it just expands. I think your business has to grow, adapt, and I think that's something that you've been able to do. From, I mean, we joke the college hippie hacky sack slacklining Adam. I'm sure you did all of that stuff.
I wasn't. You
weren't a slackliner.
My hips have always been tight. I was a slackliner. I wasn't a hacky sack guy.
Slackliner. Okay. There we go.
Actually, speaking of my hippie days, I've been. It's getting to be springtime. I've been up in my cabin a lot more, and that's where my Birkenstocks live. I tripped the other night. I gotta bring my Birks to the shoe hospital guy, because like half of my sole on my right foot finally fell off after 15 years of use. You know, like
that's the thing. Like if Birkenstocks, I bought a pair of Birkenstocks years ago, and I ran those things to the ground.
Yeah,
I got a brand new pair 2 years ago. Actually, 16th, 2 days ago was my second anniversary. So we ended up.
Congratulations, brother.
Yeah, thank you. I ended up getting a new pair. I've worn them once. I wore them at a wedding, and I was like, I'm going to wear these. I'm going to wear them out. I just haven't put the time really to like break them in, but like I still have the old pair, and like I still want to slip the old pair on. They're just broken in, like, and people don't wear Birkenstocks. It's like they're not much to them. They're cork and suede or leather or whatever you want, but God. When those things break, when those things are broken in, there's nothing more comfortable, and so I can see the same thing. Like, literally the only reason I don't wear them anymore. We went to the city beach a few years ago. We were playing beach volleyball, and somebody spilt a drink on them. I had taken them off to go play in the game. Somebody had spilt something on them. I came back, and I could never get. It was a suede shoe, and there was a huge stain over it. And part of me is like, I'll still wear them, but but I didn't want to wear them for my wedding and stuff because I got a new pair. But the new pair is like you can still read Birkenstock on the cork, where the old ones like
what
those
cork?
Things. Yeah, exactly. There's basically the print soles on the bottom, and that's about it. But
cool.
No, Birkenstocks are good. But you good there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Dude, this has been
pretty good.
I always work myself up, and when you invited me over to do this, I was actually really nervous. And dude, this has been so much fun to really connect with you, man. I really, really appreciate it. I apologize for the bloodshed of the wine everywhere, but
it was actually. Well, it was funny because I was reaching down to get another thing of another. What did you use? A screwdriver, right?
I used a screwdriver. I was trying to like pry it. And
I should have gave you a flathead.
Yeah, but I ended up pushing it in, and like it like caused this explosion, and that it was actually
just had it showered over me, and I was like, what's going on? And then I looked around, I'm like, oh, there's some stuff just on the corner of the desk, and then we're like, oh no, there's stuff on the cabinet. Oh no, there's stuff there.
There's some on your whiteboard, dude. Like I actually left a speck there just because I wanted to be on your whiteboard.
Well, I mean, there's literally like, I can't reach it. I'm 5'6", 5'7" on a good day.
There's some on your ceiling, bro.
Yeah, and there's these are 15 feet? They got to be.
Something like that.
They're tall.
13, 15, something like that.
But it's all good. It gave us a good story. So,
yeah. No, but seriously, bro, this was so much fun. And like, I mean, I honestly, I appreciate our relationship and our friendship so much. Like you said that I've helped you grow. Dude, you've helped me grow. Like to see what you've done and to help me course correct and to keep me on track. I have so many memories with you. Like you're just one of the best people I've ever met, man. And I've got a lot
I appreciate that. I still remember the long conversations we used to have in the West Bay office.
Yeah.
Which I say the paint room, but it was just before you had the paint bucket. It was, I think, right before.
Downstairs.
Yeah, when we used to go in and, like, to be honest, that was many years ago, and we probably every 2 weeks I'd go in, we'd talk for like an hour, I'd sit in your office, and none of us, I think, really knew what we were doing, and I think we were just young guys that had grand visions and
stupid visions,
didn't know where it would pan out, and it's kind of cool to look, 8 years, which is not a lot of time, and and you kind of look at it and like how far both of us have been able to come and will continue to go. Like I said, I think we're both in the early stages of our careers, but it's cool. There's times to just sit back and I think, and like you're one of them, and there's a few things I think about, but like from a business perspective, I mean, you've been really there since I'd say day one, but you were there since probably day 300. You were pretty early on in my career, and I think I think from a business perspective, you've been probably you've been my longest associate, besides people that have worked with me. I mean, and I think you had reached out back then when I was a young 21-year-old that had no clue what they were doing, and you still reached out and said, hey, you want to meet up and kind of talk and try to help each other out. We're in kind of different industries, but let's build each other up. And that's 7 years ago, and we haven't stopped. So
it's one of the things I love coaching new people in the business, and you take gambles on people. Like there's certain people I don't think are going to pan out, or I'll meet with them once. I'm like, that dude's a douche. I'm never going to talk to him again. But like I think if you come at it with it right, and you can connect with people. And dude, it's been awesome to see what you've done. And
I appreciate that,
dude. You're freaking crushing it, bro.
It's
and
good. It's a lot of fun.
So anyway, thank you so much for having me. This has been absolutely amazing. And if you ever want to do it again, I'd be honored.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll have you back on.
Cool.
It's always good. I like getting the theme of the everybody asks, what is it about? I said, it's about people I like to talk to. That's all it is. There's no theme. It's literally just people I want to have a conversation with. And I've been meaning to get you on. I don't know how you actually weren't on prior to this, but you'll definitely be on.
What
again.
show is this?
26.
Oh, okay.
26.
Damn. Wow.
Yeah, which, trust me, there was no reason. I think I had a long list, and I think I take some people for granted. Just like, yeah, they'll definitely be on. So I don't even put them on the list. Cause I'll talk to them, and all of a sudden, like, it just kept getting full, and then I'm like 2 weeks ahead and 3 weeks ahead, and all of a sudden I was like, I think I saw you the other day. I'm like, I don't think I've had you on yet. Like, we got to get you. So you guys will see more of Adam. Like I said, one of my business mentors. We've had a great relationship over the last few years, probably 8 years now, and just we'll continue to grow. So it's fun. We've become good friends, and even more beyond the professional days that we've done. He's also my woodworking construction, I guess, leader on that. So
that's my son, Benji.
Yeah, Benji is in kindergarten right now.
He's in kindergarten.
And actually, before we sign off, Adam came over to help at my old house. He came over to help on a shed. Very long story short. We'll go very quick on this. You asked for some tool. I don't know what it was. I went back to the truck. Benji was next to me. Benji follows me back to the truck. I'm looking at the truck, and I go to Benji. I go, hey, you know what so-and-so is? He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, climbs up, grabs the thing, and he goes, do you want this or this? I'm like, he said this. He goes, okay, here it is. And he gave it to me. And I walked back, and I gave it to him, and he's like, oh, thanks. And I'm like, look, thanks, Ben. Turned around, gave him a little thumbs up. But Ben and Levi are absolutely great boys, and I think you've done a phenomenal job with them. I had a St. Patty's Day with them, and they're just just great
and crew
kids.
is awesome too, and watching him grow. And I really excited for your new one. And when is Gina due?
5 weeks.
5 weeks. Wow.
Yeah, it's coming quick,
dude,
but
your world's gonna change so much.
It's fun.
Yeah,
kids are a blast, and
it's awesome to see you develop into a family man.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like I said, we knew each other before kids, so this is cool. It's cool to see it evolve. But
cool.
We're gonna stop there again. Sweet. I want to thank Adam. This is episode 26 of the Gaelan Trombley Show. We are out. Thanks for listening to the Gaelan Trombley Show. If you want to reach me, you can go on Facebook at Gaelan Trombley, on Instagram at Gaelan Trombley, and on YouTube at Gaelan Trombley. The spelling, GaelanTrombley.